All right, everybody, welcome back to the Matty Moolah Show. Hope you guys are having a great day. As you can see, I've moved into the new apartment, so everything's pretty gray. Eventually want to put some artwork and stuff up on the wall, and I know Chris Patel and I have talked about getting some lighting and stuff of the like, but today's video is specifically going to be talking about Palantir's AIP, and I think some misconceptions that people might have out there about whether or not AIP is going to be monetized and stuff of the like. Now, AIP is not going to just be some free aspect of things. And what I mean by that is while AIP itself at the moment may be free, it enables people or common people within an organization to have more access to data in Foundry or Gotham platforms that have ever been utilized before. What I mean by that is sometimes when you're using some of these Foundry platforms, which I've used on a pretty regular basis in my day-to-day job, over the past 6 or 7 years now, since the 2017-ish time frame, you have some technical aspect of things. And if you're working with somebody that's working in commercial or they might be working in legal, they might not necessarily understand the true intricacies of utilizing or looking for technical data and being able to search through and how it's structured and where to find that data, even if they might potentially know how to use certain parts of Foundry. They might not necessarily understand the organizational structure or the data structure of what's going into some of these things. And so when you have an AIP, and we're going to talk through an example here in just a moment, you are able to ask very basic questions and it will then relay into the system's ontology and the data structure to be able to get you an answer. Now that's going to be able to be utilized by folks in commercial, legal, other business supporting functions that might not be technical that now have access to Foundry, which is going to increase user count. That's going to increase the amount of total usage and cloud computing on a day-to-day basis through the Foundry and Gotham platforms. Now, what I think people are anticipating is that they're going to charge directly for an AIP, but in reality, I think AIP, or the artificial intelligence platform, will allow you to do very simple prompts, which will basically increase the total usage of a Foundry throughout the entirety of the organization. And I think that just ends up meaning you need more support. You have to build more guide rails. You have to help the LLMs, be able to connect up to the data in a certain manner. And so with this example, all of this, and specifically this example, is built on top of Foundry connections. And so you're still getting charged at the end of the day to use Foundry, right? Foundry is not a free product. So while AIP might be something that's introduced to your business, the Foundry piece is still going to be charged at a normalized rate. And so let's just take a quick look at this example here.
In this demo, let's say you're a leader at a US-based manufacturing company with customers all over the country. You've just received an alert that a hurricane is forecasted to hit one of your major distribution centers in the south, and you'll need to shut it down. You want to know whether you should accelerate, delay, or cancel orders to your...
So immediately you enter a question into this prompt, right? What distribution centers need to shut down? Where do you think that this graphic is coming from? This isn't coming from AIP. This is coming from the connection that AIP has to Foundry. So it is in the background connecting to Foundry. Just like if you were to be on your Microsoft desktop and maybe your Mac, and you type into the search bar what application you want to pull up, it'll pull up that application. It's not going to have the know-all, but it will connect you to the application that has the know-all.
Customers and other remediations you can take. Here in AIP Terminal, you can ask questions and collaborate with a large language model, or LLM. To what extent will Hurricane Cynthia affect our distribution centers in Louisiana? As well as follow-ups. How does this impact customer orders and associated revenue? Under the hood, as you ask questions, the LLM is able to traverse a data foundation powered.
So then what it's talking about is it's connecting up to the greater database that is within Foundry, right? So this is a Foundry instance that's being kind of pulled up here. I know that's based off of just knowing the same sort of tools that we have here that at UDoc that we use. And so what this is just basically pulling up a Foundry instance. This is showing all the different data streams that are kind of coming through and the disparate data sets that are going through all these different areas to be able to help understand how the data works on the back end, right? So AIP is just connecting up to these items to be able to answer those questions.
By real-time data feeds from all across your business. Importantly, you can control which parts of the business the LLM has access to. For example, we can see here that although the data foundation contains employee-level PII data, the LLM can't see or access that data. This has been informative. You want to understand your options and take action. You can ask AIP to simulate a baseline scenario. What would happen if we shut down the affected distribution center? It uses a transportation network optimizer model and shows you the impact on backlogs, revenue, and commitments, and highlights.
But once again, this might be an AIP terminal, but it's using a simulation model, probably within Foundry, to be able to do this, right?
So the impact on your highest priority
you can see it's pulling up something.
You can also
and you can
see
still
which
interact
orders
with it.
Can be seamlessly fulfilled
But
by other.
At the end of the day, this is probably pulling up something that's working off of Foundry. So really, you're just interacting with a robot or artificial intelligence that's able to basically put you in the right directions with some guide rails up on it to be able to help understand and interpret what you're asking it to do. Instead of having to click around, AIP is then able to kind of make the clicks for you in that respect to be able to understand what's kind of going on in the background.
Their distribution centers. This is a good start, but you want to do more. You want to know if you should charter additional trucks to increase the volume of deliveries before and after the closure.
So anyway, this is allowing you to kind of understand specifically like what exactly is kind of going on. And so I still think people are like, oh, well, you have to charge for this. It's like, well, technically you're already being charged at the base level by just having Foundry and all your data and information in there. And so what's going to encourage more usage of the Foundry and the disparate data systems being connected into Foundry and utilizing it for data categorization and data sort of hierarchies, then having large language models attached to it and having artificial intelligence be able to have you access that data at lightning speed rather than what you were doing maybe with some of your archaic data systems or just your unorganized data systems in the past, right? And the efficiencies will be put into the proof there. And that is where you're most likely going to be charged. And so I think what this is going to do is increase NDR, net dollar retention. I think what this is going to do is just increase total uptake of Foundry within organizations as a whole. Not is it going to be only used for, say, maybe front end people, but maybe supporting functions as well. You'll see the access used by maybe less technical facing folks, more managerial folks, if that helps as well. I can't tell you how many different answers or questions I get asked during the day about something that's rather simple, but unfortunately people just don't know where the data is. So having something like an AIP and having the connections to the right data, you'll have managers or people in commercial or legal now being able to ask AIP those questions. And instead of me having to go scavenge for the data myself, you'll have these other people. And I'm sure they have plenty of other questions that they want to ask that they either are too afraid to ask or just don't have the time to ask or it's a trouble to ask. But if you have something like an AIP, they will be able to ask. And that's just increasing total usage overall for the product. And so I think it's going to just make it more of a foundational piece. Now, I could be completely wrong on this thesis, so I just want to throw this out there. I mean, they might actually end up charging something like a, monthly fee or something like that to be able to use AIP, which people might demonstrate, and they have a free trial to say, if they want to opt out of it after, say, 30 or 60 days, otherwise per license or something like that, it's $1,000 per user or something like that. That's something that could very well be put into play, especially if they notice that there's efficiencies of being able to access data or let's just say Foundry usage uptake, is growing by 50% in an organization within a year's time of enabling AIP. Now they could say, well, look how much additional usage uptake you guys have had. Look how much more efficiency and speed at which you guys are making calculations and doing work. That's worth at least $1,000 or $2,000 a head or license or something like that. I could see that happening in the near future, but I think in the short term, you will notice this in terms of just increase in total revenue from Gotham, Foundry usage, and as well as I'm sure that there's going to be able to be using this with Apollo as well. And so very curious to see what goes on from here. I think that there's massive implications that will be coming from this. Many people still don't believe that Palantir has access to consumer-facing products, which we've seen now at FoundryCon 2.0, in not FoundryCon, AIPCon 2.0 with Avia, with the Centric company who owns a toll road in Northern Virginia, where they showed that specifically if there was an accident or part of the highway was closed, they would send a text message or an alert to certain folks on the highway to alert them that, hey, you guys are going to hit some traffic here pretty soon. I don't know how much more consumer facing you can get. And I also think that stuff with education, stuff with healthcare and personal data is something that Palantir can get into as well with respect to just having high security. You'd be able to have your own personal information on your phone and allowing you, remember, every time you go to a different office, whether it's a dentist, whether it's a pediatrician, whether it's a podiatrist, whether it's a urologist, whether it's a dermatologist, every single time you have to re-enter the same data. What's your date of birth? What's your social security number? What's your problems? What is your family history? What is this? Instead, you could have a Palantir focused sort of central data form of all your health data. Let's just say it's $1 a month or something like that. Maybe it's $1 a year. You have to think, something as simple as $1 a year, that's probably something that's prudent. You have 4 or 5 people in your family. That's to say, in the United States alone, you capture 50% of the population. It's $150 million a year just in something as simple as storing data and being able to upload it to specific healthcare databases when you want and have the ability. They say, do you want to give this office access to your personal data? You just say yes. And next thing you know, no more having to fill out all these paperwork, all these paper forms, all that stuff, or log on to a computer or desktop to be able to say, type in all these things into different windows. You just literally upload it at the click of a button. And my thought process is that is a very simple opportunity for Palantir to own that market. And also do the same with, going to the DMV or anything, anywhere where you could have it kind of stored. But maybe that's too simple. Maybe that's something that is a different topic for a different day. But I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Am I completely crazy? Are they just going to utilize Foundry and Gotham uptake and increase in usage to be able to get their monetization through AIP? Or will they eventually come up with a model in which they will be able to do AIP and monetize it? Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.